Hello and good evening. The Special Presidential Investigative Panel for the Recovery of Public Property visited the NNPC recently to follow the money, as it were. The engagement featured clarifications at best, because records of NNPC's operations and financial details are already out there in the open. NNPC's GMD Mallam Mele Kyari did offer required clarifications, of course. Eye on the national reserves, and the bid to hit 40 billion barrels is what the NNPC and the Geosciences Society are committing to work together to ensure. Fancy the status of Nigeria returning to be the next exporter of petroleum products. NNPC and Dangote have been at this task for some time now, while the media stakeholder group pledged collaboration. What's on center stage this week are tracking off the road to transparency by NNPC's helmsman. I'm Akin Agbijule. This is Oil and Gas Forum.
The president is a reformer, and I believe that is why he has appointed a reform-minded person to head NNPC.
Thank you so very much, NNPC. Like you say, you touch the lives of people in many positive ways, and that is a statement of fact. I hope you continue this program because it really has been very helpful to myself, to my family, to my loved ones. Even in time to come, I can never forget the good that NNPC has done in my life.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
Let's check out the tip of the top of the stories. NNPC has nothing to hide, says GMD. His guests are happy with his clarifications. Growing national reserves to 40 billion barrels, audacious but doable. We can report a double barrel collaboration to make this possible. NNPC Dangote to return Nigeria to next exporter of petroleum products. This has got some collaboration from the media. We will take a little journey, so join us as we traverse Mallam Mele Kyari's road to transparency. It's all about the details. Shortly.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has expressed its desire to extend Nigeria's trade relations with Turkey beyond crude oil. The Group Managing Director of NNPC, Mallam Mele Kyari, disclosed this during a courtesy visit by the Ambassador of the Republic of Turkey to Nigeria, His Excellency Meli Uluren, at the NNPC Towers, Abuja.
We look forward to greater cooperation between us and the Turkish National Oil Company, such that in other areas of engagement, not just about oil trades, but other areas of infrastructure development, which both companies would definitely be interested, will be promoted.
Speaking earlier, the Ambassador of Turkey to Nigeria, His Excellency Meli Uluren, said his country was eager to deepen economic ties with Nigeria.
Turkey attaches utmost importance to its relations with Nigeria in every field. Of course, economics is one of the priorities.
The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Mallam Mele Kyari, has declared that the National Oil Company is not in contest for market share with the forthcoming Dangote refinery, but rather providing support to the promoters of the project to boost in-country refining capacity. Speaking while receiving the President and Chief Executive of the Dangote Group, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, at the NNPC Towers, Kyari explained that as the chief enabler of the Nigerian economy, the NNPC had a duty to rally industry players like Dangote Group to achieve the long-held target of making Nigeria a next exporter of petroleum products.
We look forward to a very quick situation where we become a net exporter of petroleum products. The intervention between us, the Dangote refinery, and many other smaller initiatives that are ongoing.
Earlier in his presentation, Alhaji Dangote emphasized that the business approach of the Dangote refinery was to see NNPC as a collaborator rather than a competitor, noting that the refinery will rely heavily on the corporation's invaluable knowledge of the refining business in Nigeria to achieve its central objective.
I think the most important is for us to see how can we partner with NNPC. It's not to see how can we compete with NNPC. We would like NNPC to be part of us. We want to also be part of NNPC. I think that's the only way that we can have a win-win situation.
Dangote aligned his company with the federal government's aspiration to ensure adequate in-country refining capacity, stating that upon completion, the refinery would dedicate 53% of its projected 650,000 barrels per day refining capacity to the production of petrol. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has cleared the air on alleged financial breaches in its operations by the Special Presidential Investigative Panel for the Recovery of Public Property. Speaking while receiving the chairman and members of the panel at the NNPC Towers, Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, said the corporation had nothing to hide, as it stood to gain a lot by being transparent in all areas of operation.
Every member of the senior management of this company shares the persuasion of Mr. President that every government institution, including our own, must be accountable to the people of Nigeria. And that we know that we will gain by becoming transparent. We have nothing to hide, Mr. Chairman.
Responding to the issues raised by the panel on the alleged underpayment of lease renewal fees on oil mining leases OMLs 67, 68 and 70 by ExxonMobil, Kyari said the company paid $600 million, which was their equity contribution of 40% of the joint venture agreement, after which NNPC was to pay the remaining 60% but became unnecessary as it represented the government.
Ordinarily, NNPC would have contributed the balance of the 60% of the period. It literally means government is paying money to itself. That means when you go to bank and withdraw from your savings account into your current account, or from one savings account to another second, so NNPC did not pay because there is no need for that payment.
On the alleged breach of government Treasury single account TSA policy, the GMD said the NNPC has no secret account, emphasizing that there is no single account NNPC is operating that is unknown to the federal government. Earlier in his remarks, the chairman of the presidential panel, Chief Okoye Obono Oblak, said their visit was to seek synergy with the NNPC towards reforming the country and particularly to clear the air on issues relating to the operations of the corporation.
I now believe that he is a paragon of integrity. And we need people who have integrity, people who are accountable, people who are transparent to head our national institutions, and that will help in moving the country forward.
As part of efforts to grow national reserves to 40 billion barrels, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) will be going into several strategic partnerships with the Nigerian Mining and Geosciences Society (NMGS) to achieve this national aspiration. Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, made this submission during a business visit of a delegation from the NMGS to the corporation by its president, Engineer Obadiah Simon Nkom. Malam Kyari noted that the NNPC will be aggressively venturing into exploration in the Gongola Basin, Benue Trough, Anambra Basin, and all the other basins to shore up the nation's crude oil and gas reserves.
We're doing everything possible to promote exploration, grow our reserves and grow our production, and also even to venture into more determined work in the frontier areas.
On his part, the NMGS President, Engineer Obadiah Simon Nkom, assured the Mele Kyari-led management of the society's holistic support, while applauding President Muhammadu Buhari for identifying and appointing Malam Kyari as the GMD of the corporation.
The Group Managing Director is a full-time member, has been a member, an active member of Nigerian Mining and Geosciences. So we are definitely giving him all the support that is needed to be able to now achieve his own mandate and responsibilities.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) and the Nigerian Guild of Editors (NGE) have expressed their readiness to work together to enlighten members of the 9th National Assembly on the need for the accelerated passage of oil and gas industry-related bills in order to create the right environment to attract more investments. The accord was reached during a courtesy visit of the National Executive of the NGE, led by its president, Mrs. Funke Egbamade, to the Group Managing Director of NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, at the NNPC Towers, Abuja. Malam Kyari said that until and unless the petroleum legislation is passed, the volume of foreign investment flow into the country would not be as robust as it should be.
This government is determined to make this legislation work, and will support it, and it needs the support of all of us so that together we can have the appropriate legislation on the ground, so that investments can come back, so that the talks around reserve growth and production growth will become real.
On her part, the president of the NGE, Mrs. Egbamade, said the guild would collaborate with the new management of NNPC by providing credible platforms that would enable the corporation to always inform Nigerians and the world about its mandate.
To ensure that what they do is known, to ensure that we provide the platforms because we represent the entire media industry.
She praised the corporation's spokesman, Ndu Uhamadu, for the enormous support to the guild over the years, stressing that as a fellow of the guild, his professional dexterity had contributed a lot to repositioning the NNPC in a positive light.
The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, has challenged the Nigerian Association of Energy Correspondents of Nigeria, NAEC, to monitor the activities of the corporation closely, with a view to keeping it on its toes towards the delivery of its mandate to the Nigerian public. The Group Managing Director gave this charge during a courtesy visit by the executives of the association to the NNPC Towers in Abuja. The GMD said that the corporation has identified the association as a critical stakeholder to work with for the growth of the energy industry.
We know that this industry is a very significant component of our country. We are aware that what we do here affects everybody. And therefore, ventilating the issues here, giving it critical assessment, giving it all the support that it needs is of importance to the whole of this country.
In his remarks, the chairman of NAEC, Mr. Olatunde Dodondawa, said the visit was informed by the unprecedented track records of the GMD.
The association, with the support of GPAD, headed by the sound and top-notch integrated marketing communications expert, Mr. Uhamadu, will ensure that the agenda becomes a success.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, is ostensibly the most open and transparent federal government corporation with a track record of unbroken, sustained, and consistent publication of the corporation's monthly financial and operations report for the past 3 years and still counting. The NNPC, which is saddled with the Herculean responsibility of exploring, exploiting, refining, transporting, and marketing the abundant hydrocarbon resources across the country, acts as a big stimulus for the national economy by guaranteeing energy security. A new dispensation of transparency, accountability, and performance excellence tape was heralded on 8th July 2019 with the coming on board of Malam Mele Kyari as the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian Oil Company, with a reinvigorated zeal for the corporation to do all her business with integrity. Malam Mele Kyari, who is an apostle and practitioner of transparency and accountability, has told whoever cares to listen that the NNPC under his watch will build up the gains of the time-tested principle of openness in all the corporation's operations. The GMD, having served at different times as the representative of the NNPC at the board of the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NITI, is primed to take the NNPC Transparency Index a notch higher. Executive Secretary of NITI, Waziri Adio, while applauding President Muhammadu Buhari for Malam Kyari's appointment as GMD, noted that Kyari, along with the transparency body, would further promote the ideals of transparency in the extractive industries in Nigeria, and particularly the Nigerian oil and gas sector. In his inaugural speech, Malam Kyari left no one in doubt about his determination to keep the NNPC books open at all times during his tenure, and warned members of the public not to offer gifts of any kind to members of his family in the hope of swaying him to do anything shady.
At the very beginning, we are going to focus on the expectations of Nigerians. Every Nigerian expects this company to be accountable, to be transparent, to be able to deliver petroleum products without difficulty. They expect us to create employment for our country. They expect us to deliver on gas, so that at the end of the day, it becomes a national oil company that we're all proud of.
Helmsman of a state oil firm who is treading on a familiar terrain of transparency, having headed the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengassan, in 1997 without any controversy, has stamped its signature seal of openness and transparency on the NNPC in the few weeks he has been in the saddle, with several top government officials and captains of international oil companies endorsing his commitment to accountability to the Nigerian people and all other relevant stakeholders. For Malam Kyari, keeping the NNPC as one of the most transparent and accountable federal government corporation, conducting its business in a factual, accountable, competitive and transparent manner with integrity, facti, is not negotiable.
Our transparency index has risen. Our balance sheet has changed, but there are significant changes that has happened in the last 3 years. We have put processes that are working. This no doubt has put us in a position of easy right to changing this company to a global company of excellence.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF, Boss Mustafa, recently applauded Malam Kyari for his transparency drive and described his management team as fit for accountability.
Malam Nele Kolo Kyari, for him to take this bold decision with coming here with his team says volume of the kind of leadership that we are about to witness in the management.
It was therefore not surprising when the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC chairman Ibrahim Magu expressed the readiness of his anti-corruption agency to work hand in hand with Malam Kyari to stamp out corruption from the Nigerian oil and gas industry. Magu, the anti-corruption czar, who was part of the inaugural ceremony of Malam Kyari, has this to say about him.
To Malam Mele Kolo Kyari, for also his recent appointment as GMD of the NNPC. Every Nigeria has a responsibility in the fight against corruption. That is the only way we can win this fight. We are determined.
The NNPC is completely aligned with the objective of this government. We will work with the EFCC wherever anybody has stolen anything from us. And we have any data, we will support you, we will aid you. It's in our best interest.
Little wonder, 3 weeks down the road, after the coming on board of Malam Kyari, the Special Presidential Investigation Panel on Recovery of Public Property, SPIP, headed by Chief Okoye Obono Oblak, described the NNPC GMD as a reformer, like President Muhammadu Buhari, whose credentials of transparency are impeccable.
The group managing director has this reputation of being an apostle of accountability and transparency. And I feel very happy because for the first time, somebody like him is coming out to tell us the truth, of some things that Nigerians have been misled.
The head of the panel, who was visibly satisfied with the explanation he received from the NNPC helmsman, said the interface was imperative to put to rest some unfounded allegations against the NNPC. The Special Presidential Investigation Panel on Recovery of Public Property was set up by the present administration, and it has recovered several property and humongous amount of money from different organizations.
The International Energy Agency, IEA, is closely monitoring developments in the Strait of Hormuz, including the recent seizure of a UK-flagged oil tanker, and stands ready to act if needed. The IEA considers that the right of free energy transit is critical to the global economy and must be maintained. The Strait of Hormuz is a vital maritime transit route for world energy trade. About 20 million barrels of oil transit each day through the strait, or about 20% of global supply. It is also the route for around a quarter of global liquefied natural gas trade. Consumers can be reassured that the oil market is currently well supplied, with oil production exceeding demand in the first half of 2019, pushing up global stocks by 900,000 barrels per day.
Thanks for joining us on the feedback segment of the program. I am Julia Auta. The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, recently held an inaugural town hall meeting to outline the roadmap of his management in the quest to transform the NNPC into a global company of excellence. This week, the feedback segment is using tape to measure the views of the corporation staff and the public on the new GMD's vision of transparency, accountability, and performance excellence. Tape.
The new GMD is a pragmatic man, an achiever, a man of the people, the person that does not look your face before he assigns you to any responsibility.
For us to be able to carry our corporation to the next level, we all key into the GMD's new initiatives.
We are ready to be transparent and continue to be transparent and ensure accountability in all our processes.
Tape, for me, is a window or a door through which we can, make it into that world-class level.
People should be on the lookout to see greater things happening in NNPC as an organization, and they should expect nothing less than the best.
I am very optimistic about the new GMD because he was once a chairman of Pengasson. I have seen his performance then. He was a nice man, very pragmatic, and upon all, he is very sincere and honest.
Though is somebody we know with integrity, and I believe that we continue from that point.
From the responses, the unalloyed support and the commitment from the NNPC workforce and the public are enough to transform the national oil company to the Global League of Excellence. And this is all we have for you today on this segment. Don't touch the dial.
Hello, welcome to yet another informative segment of the program. My name is Faith Ayuba. Did you know that NNPC is an integrated national oil company with operations that cut across the entire oil and gas value chain? The value chains are upstream, which deals with exploration, development and production. Midstream, which deals with refining, processing, transmission and transportation, and the downstream, which deals with distribution, transportation and sales. Did you know that the price of petroleum products are determined by Petroleum Product Pricing Regulatory Agency, PPPRA, and not Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation? Did you know that over 144 products are made from crude oil? Did you also know that aside from PMS, DPK and AGO, which are well known by most as derivatives of crude oil, items like candle, rubber, tire and many more are products from crude oil? Now you know. Please don't go away as the rest of the program continues.
Hello, welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices skidded, declining for the first time in 6 days after the U.S. Federal Reserve dampened hopes for a string of interest rate cuts and Sino-U.S. talks ended without apparent progress toward resolving a bitter trade dispute. Brent crude futures, the international benchmark, fell 68 cents or 1% to $64.37 per barrel, having fallen more than $1 earlier in the session. U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI crude futures was down 72 cents or 1.2% at $57.86 per barrel, also having dropped more than $1 earlier. The drops came despite a bigger than expected decline in inventories in the U.S. and a drop in crude production among the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC members, along with Libya cutting exports, typically bullish drivers for the market. And that's it on this segment of the program. My name is Solomon Yopave.
We'll work with NNPC. We will assist in letting Nigerians see the NNPC in a different light, in a better light.
That's been Oil and Gas Forum. Quite a package this week. NNPC wishes you an awesome week ahead. Keep the date next week.